Yeah. Yeah. All right. Welcome into the Rant, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday since 2021. That's right. This is no flash in the pan. This is we are dug in every day. We are dedicated. And by we, I mean the royal we. I mean me and the voices in my head. It's just pretty much it. That's the we. We are dedicated to the idea of doing a form of talk radio that is just simply not in vogue at the moment. Talk radio in this country comes down to two categories: right-wing politics, which we don't do because that's boring, and sports, which I could do, but so many other people are doing it. It's just, so we do lifestyle talk, we do hot topic talk, we do current events talk every day. As I say, since 2021, we gather here. Used to be at noon, now it's at 2:00. It's at 2:00 for a myriad of reasons, but let's just stick with it. Works better for me during the day to be doing this at 2:00. I thank you folks in the chat room. You've been here the whole time. Come one, come all. We welcome new people. Hi, Al. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Taronda. Hi, Mike. Oh, you know what else? Really need to do this. I haven't been doing this in a while. This show, as you know, has run for 4 years now on your gratuities, your tips. We don't do advertising. We don't do anything like that. It's just if you people want this show to stick around, here's the amount of money we need to make a month. If you can get us there, the show will continue. And it has for 4 years, just barely. It's a dedicated group. So what we do from time to time is I like to say, hey, tip the show if you can help out the show. Now, I haven't been doing that much lately because I've really been concentrating on 1 week per month where we really push hard. That is Pledge Week. And that's coming up next week. It should be this week, but I don't pay my bills on time. So, we can stroll a little bit into the month. So next week is going to be Pledge Week. We've been hitting our goal, pretty good on Pledge Week. So I'm not all that concerned about it. But we do award the title of executive producer of the show to people who just tip throughout the month. They want to help out. We don't tell them no, right? You want to tip throughout the month, that's great. And so the person who tips the most throughout, any random show, they get the title of executive producer. Now, we haven't been doing that much lately. I'm trying to move away from that. I would love to exist in a world where we don't have to shake the can like some shady ass preacher, right? I wish we could get past that, but we're not all the way past it. So we do need to still from time to time thank our executive producers. And today we've got two. We've got two that I want to thank. Now, I was thinking maybe tomorrow. Yeah, I do one today and one tomorrow because both of these people tipped over the past couple of days, and they were significant tips, and they were the kind of tips that keep this show going during the middle of the month. So thank you so much to Tracy and Kim. I'm telling you, Kim and Tracy, these people, these kinds of tips. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hold on. Got a little bit of phlegm in the throat. I'm still doing, still got a bit of a throat thing. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, you can tip the show. So we're going to make that available to you as well. I haven't been showing this much, but please support the show anytime. You can tip with Venmo or you can tip with Cash App. Thank you, folks. We did trivia last night out there at the back nine. Now it's kind of, Stars lost. Let's get into that first. The Stars lost to the Edmonton Oilers. They lost that game. They just lost that game. That game, they just got outplayed. But here's the thing. Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup. Now, I know a lot of you are like, oh, Pugs. Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup. They're going to win 3 games here. They're going to win 3 games in a row. It's going to go to a 7th game. It's going to be amazing. And then they're going to head into the Stanley Cup with all this crazy momentum. Telling you, there's something special about the Stars team. You think I'm crazy? These are the things you must go through to truly enjoy the hoisting of the cup. Stars going to win the Stanley Cup. Also, there's no real injury to me by saying this because, one, I'm not a psychic. I don't fucking know. I got lucky a couple of years ago on opening day when I said the Rangers are going to win the World Series, and they did. I mean, I don't know how committed to that I was, but I said it, and it came true. I've had a couple other weird instances since then that have started to make me think that maybe I do have some kind of intuition that others don't. But I don't know. It's not, I haven't been able to make any money off of it. So really, what good is it? But I do have this feeling. Didn't have the feeling about the Mavs last year. Didn't tell you last year the Mavs were going to win the NBA championship. Didn't think they were. Didn't have that vibe. This Stars team, a team I barely pay attention to, a team that I could not name more than one player. Jake Ottinger. That's it. It's the only one I can name. I'm telling you, I'm getting the vibes. They're going to win the World Series. The World Series of Hockey is coming to Dallas, so get ready to hoist that plate. It's a cup, right? It's Lord Stanley's cup. I've actually held Lord Stanley's cup. Anyway, there we have it. All right. Hi, Al. Al says hi, amigo. He's in the chat room now. Jeff is in the chat room. Jeff's our Iowa correspondent. It's good to see him. Taronda, she's always first. She's always first. She says, hi, peeps. It's cute. I look forward to it. Hi, Taronda. And hi, Mikey D. All right. I'm looking at the news on side eye. We don't do a lot of politics and stuff. You know, I'm tired of this. I don't want to. It's so exhausting. Who cares? Who cares? You know what? I got to go to bed tonight. I got to wake up in the morning. That's what I care about. I got a dog to walk. Got bills to pay. Politics, I don't care. So I'm side-eyeing out of my eye, and I see this whole thing about Trump versus Harvard, like he's going to war with Harvard. But now there's like this story that like the reason he's being so hard on Harvard is because Harvard rejected Barron. What? No, I don't know that that's true. That's an internet story. That was an internet story that was going around yesterday that I said, I don't know that this is true, so we're not going to talk about it, but I'll mention it. That turned out to be true. The one from yesterday turned out to be true. More on that coming up in Hot Topics. But the internet rumor is that Barron got rejected from Harvard and that made Melania nuts, and now Trump's on the warpath against Harvard. I think it has more to do with like the whole Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. You get that. That resonates with people. Alcatraz. Let's reopen Alcatraz, even though there's no way it could be reopened. You know, people like saying, hey, let's turn the Alamo back into a military base. Like it's not a thing that anyone's going to do. But the name Alcatraz, that resonates with the big dummies out there. And so the dummies hear it and they're like, Alcatraz, let's be mean to prisoners. You know, that's kind of, I think he's doing the same thing with Harvard. I don't know if it has anything to do with Barron, but I think it has to do with Harvard being a name that resonates with the rest of us. Like they're all douchebags. Like Harvard's a bunch of douchebags. We don't care if anything bad happens to people from Harvard. So I think he's using that. I think that's why it resonates. But I don't know. The hot rumor is that Barron got rejected, and now, oh my God, Melania's on the warpath, and all this is because of that. But who knows? Sports Bras are in the chat room. CC's here. CC, Keith, and I, we do a show called Shock House Radio. It's my attempt at sports or whatever, just guy talk. It's just I want to do a thing with people where I'm just like hanging out, and that's what Shock House is kind of becoming. No Shock House today. I'm very sorry. No Shock House today. Apparently, Keith is sick. Keith has the sick. So we're not going to be recording a Shock House today. Lorenzo Robertson is in the chat room. He says, hey, Pugs, you're not on YouTube. Yeah, maybe I'm on YouTube on Radio Misfits. I don't know. Maybe I'm on YouTube on something else. I don't know. I appreciate you, Lorenzo, but you're seeing it somehow. Somebody's watching on YouTube. Al Gamboa's on YouTube. Sports Bras are on YouTube. Hey, if you guys are watching on YouTube, let Lorenzo know where it is. Because I'm tired. I can't keep up with this stuff. All right, what do you say we get into the rant? Here's what I do every day. I do a form of talk radio that you just don't hear anywhere else. Just shit off the top of my head. Not really political. I don't really have any kind of agenda. I'm just a regular dude just like you. It's talk radio for normal Americans, and we do it every day. I perform the show as a stream of consciousness. What that is it's just me and my next thought. I look at a list of things, items that people are talking about today, and then I just rant on them. There is occasion where you folks in the chat room encouraged to join in at every turn. Maybe we'll do a little interaction. The show itself, as I said, is a stream of consciousness. And because it's a stream of consciousness, I have a tendency to get lost in my next thought. So we break the show down into 4 segments, 4 distinct segments, so I always know where I am. First segment, antecedently on this day. It's a fancy way of saying this day in history. I go through some things that happened on this day, and we just riff, just get the juices flowing. Quarter two is birthdays, people born on this day, celebrities, notable quotables, historical figures. We decide whether or not we like them and wish them a happy birthday, or they can go kick rocks. Quarter three is deads. This is where we sit in judgment. People who died on this day. Once again, we're talking about historical figures, celebrities, notable quotables. But now we say, oh, they died on this day. Where did they go? Did they ascend to the eternal glory of heaven? Or were they banished to the fires of hell? We decide. That's quarter three. Where'd they go? Heaven or hell? They died today. Quarter four is hot topics, current events, trends, whatever it is, lifestyle stuff, whatever's on my mind. We get into everything all at once there in the fourth quarter. And at the end of the show, you should be completely prepped up on basically shit to talk about. That's really what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to give you people shit to talk about, something other than politics, something other than, did you hear what they did in Washington? We don't do that. Sit around your dinner table. I'm going to give you topics. If you listen to this show every day, you're going to find out. All right, the goat's here. Where's the goat been? The goat used to be in here a lot. Then the goat stopped showing up. Now the goat's back. Welcome home, goat. I used to be able to do a goat. I used to be able to do a good goat. Can't do it now. Not going to try. All right, let's get started with the rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this show every Monday through Friday, as I say, right about 2 o'clock. Used to be noon, now it's 2 o'clock. Did you know that today, May the 28th, is the 148th day of the year? There's 217 of these remaining until the end of the year. So huzzah for that. Let's do antecedently on this day. Quarter one, we're going to run through some things that happened on this day, some historical things. We're going to talk about them. Just get the juices flowing. On this day in 1830, U.S. President Andrew Jackson signs the Indian Removal Act, which denies Native Americans their land rights and forcibly relocates them. It's a dark chapter in American history. Andrew Jackson. Was he a good president or a bad president? I get him confused with Andrew Johnson. One of them was like the worst ever, and I'm not sure. Moving on. Not born on this day. Antecedently on this day in 1937, Volkswagen, the German automobile manufacturer, is founded. Volkswagen, the Nazi car. It was a Nazi car. It was the people's car. It was made and mass-produced for the people of Germany to show the rest of the world that we could give everybody in this country a car. That was the plan. I've owned 2 Volkswagens in my life. I've owned a Jetta and I owned a Touareg. And I can tell you, I enjoy Volkswagens. Here's the problem with Volkswagens. When they break, and they don't break often, my Volkswagens did not break often, but when they did break, they really broke. And it's like a whole thing. Ugh. Anyway, I like Volkswagens. Good cars. Although I do know some Volkswagen people will tell you the opposite. I've had 2, maybe I got lucky. My former partner, Kelly, she had, what did she have? She had a Passat. She loved her Passat. Oh, she had a nice Passat. So I don't think she had problems with the Passat either. But anyway, Volkswagen, born on this day in 1937. On this day in 1977, the tragic tale of the Beverly Hills Supper Club. Supper clubs, they used to be a thing. I'm telling you, man, I think we can get back to this sort of retro sophistication, this retro elegance that was once a thing. There was a deal in this country back, probably, I don't know what, like the heyday of the supper club was 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, and it died in the 80s. The supper club was a place where your grandparents and great-grandparents went on Saturday night. When you saw your grandma get her fur out, and she's wearing her fur, and grandpa's wearing a shirt and tie, that means they're going somewhere good. It means they're going to see somebody like, I don't know, Vic Damone play at the local supper club. Supper clubs were these big, fancy restaurants that also did stage shows. And not just like, locals getting up there and doing community theater. No, like big touring concert tours. The way concert tours are now, where you buy a ticket and then you go to the stadium and you see, that's a relatively new phenomenon since the late 70s. Before that, if you were in Cincinnati and you wanted to see Frank Sinatra, you would go to the Beverly Hills Supper Club and see Frank Sinatra. It was on this day in 1977 when they had a particularly packed house for Hollywood celebrity. And guy, I have no idea what he did. John Davidson. You guys remember John Davidson? He was big in the 70s. That's Incredible. He was the host of That's Incredible. I don't know if John Davidson was a singer, an actor. He did a lot of Love Boats, whatever. On this particular night in 1977, he was playing to a sold-out Beverly Hills Supper Club. You pay like a flat fee. In this particular case, it was $13.65. That's right. $13.65 back in 1977. If you were living outside Cincinnati, you could have gotten a full meal, which, by the way, was like steak and lobster, and Hollywood celebrity John Davidson up there on stage doing God knows what. Dude's fucking juggling now. What is this guy? He's a jack of no trades. He's just got a whole bunch of things he's going to try up there. Sure is handsome, though. Let's make him famous. That was the 70s. That was the 70s. So John Davidson's up on stage, and the place is packed. 3,000 people. 3,000 people enjoying a big fancy dinner. It's like a wedding. It's like a big, that's what, you know what? That's what the closest thing that you might be able to equate to what a supper club is like a fancy wedding reception. And just kind of like a fancy wedding reception, except you could just go and no one got married and you could see John Davidson or Frankie Avalon or I don't know, those kind of people. Gladys Knight, where you would go see Gladys Knight if you lived 20 minutes outside of Cincinnati. So anyway, it was on this day that place caught fire. John Davidson's on stage juggling. I don't know what he does, spinning plates, being handsome, smiling. John Davidson's on stage. And there was another banquet room here at the Beverly Hills complex, the Beverly Hills Supper Club outside Cincinnati, Southgate, Kentucky, if we're being honest. There was a wedding reception going on. And around 8:30, the wedding reception, everybody in the wedding reception room just left and went in the parking lot. And they said that it smelled like smoke. It was 1977, so there was no such thing as fire detectors. There were no smoke alarms. Not in 1977. 165 people died. 3,000 people were inside the Beverly Hills Supper Club enjoying, we're going to say enjoying John Davidson. 165 people died. I mean, that's up there. It is the 7th deadliest fire in American history. I don't know where that ranks. Where does that rank with the, remember Great White? Remember a couple of years back, Great White did a show there, I think in Rhode Island. And that place caught fire and a whole bunch of people died. That was another bad one. Anyway, Great White, John Davidson. You go see these people. You take your life into your own hands. It was on this day in 1977, the Beverly Hills Supper Club fire. On this day, antecedently in the year 2016, we all got a dose of the real world. It was on this day in 2016 that we all had to confront the real fucking world head on. And a lot of us didn't like the way it turned out on this day in 2016. Let me just tell you, before I tell you the event, I have been consistent since day one. What occurred on this day was the only reasonable choice these people had. Okay? So stop it. So stop it with your... Did they have to shoot Harambe the gorilla on this day? Why did they shoot Harambe? Harambe was probably going to be loving to that baby that fell into its enclosure. No, it wasn't. Harambe was about to, at the very least, break that kid's arm. Did you see the way Harambe was like moving the kid around? So here's the story. It was on this day in 2016. Let's go back to Cincinnati. We just left another tragic story there, the Beverly Hills Supper Club. Now let's go to the Cincinnati Zoo. Harambe, a gorilla, is shot to death after grabbing a 3-year-old baby boy in his enclosure, resulting in widespread criticism and sparking various internet memes. This is where, I don't know, is this Gen Z or millennials? This is where you fuckers spun off the planet. With your, they didn't have to kill Harambe. They should have just killed the baby. What? What? You just killed the baby. Something bad with... No, I don't think anybody thought they should kill the baby. Not even me. But you only have one choice, man. This is a gorilla. Okay, this isn't the fucking Lion King, you millennial pussies. This isn't like Jungle Book. All right, this is a fucking gorilla, and that is like a baby. That is a 3-year-old little boy, and that gorilla, sure, He didn't just instantly rip it in half and throw its head back into the crowd. No. But are you honestly willing to? I mean, could you imagine being the mother or the father of that kid? I'm like, shoot the fucking gorilla. Shoot the fucking gorilla. It's a tragedy. It is a terrible thing. But it was a decision that had to be made. It had to be made. I'm sorry. Can't just look, well, maybe it'll work out fine. Oh, it turns out Harambe was just like all the gorillas we've seen in TV shows. He's friendly. No, they're not. They're killing machines, and they're instinctive, and they're wild animals. And that was a baby. We all had to confront that in that moment. A whole bunch of us. That's the real world. This baby dies or the gorilla dies. Go. Make a choice. We made the right choice. I mean, we'll never know for sure what Harambe's intentions were, but we made the right choice. Harambe. I'm sorry, brother. You were just a pawn in this crazy human game. You found yourself in the middle. Harambe, dead on this day in 2016. All right, that's going to do it for quarter one. Antecedently on this day is in the books. Let's do some birthdays. These people, they say it's their birthday. I really have no way of knowing for sure. I'm not going to call their moms and say, is it really their birthday? But these are published reports. Born on this day in 1988. Excuse me. Born on this day in 1888. That's more like it. Greatest athlete in the history of being an athlete in this country, right? I mean, there's nobody around saying that anymore because they all died in the 50s. The last person to go, Jim Thorpe was the greatest athlete. He died in 1957. And those were his last words. Now I'm in the Bo Jackson camp. I think Bo Jackson would have fucking waxed Jim Thorpe, but whatever. Jim Thorpe is a great American sports hero, Olympic hero, played football for like 6 different teams over 12 years. He was good, played on Indian teams. He was an Indian. He was Jim Thorpe, All-American. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Jim Thorpe. I got no hot takes on Jim Thorpe other than I think Bo Jackson's a better athlete. There you go. Born on this day in 1938. Here's somebody. This guy, this is, yeah. Is it before DEI ruined the NBA? Am I right? The NBA was way better back when it was a bunch of dudes named Jerry West and like Pete Maravich, George Mikan. Yeah, then DEI, and we had to put up with the antics of a Dr. J. What was that? Anyway, this guy born on this day in 1938. He's a testament to slow white dudes everywhere. Jerry West, the logo. That's right. It's how much they thought of this guy's mid-tier. He plays a style of basketball that is still thriving in the Mid-Atlantic League. Jerry West was a slow white guy, and he was like the first guy to popularize the crossover. Like nobody had ever seen the crossover dribble. Now, 3-year-olds can do crossover dribbles. So Jerry West and his crossover dribble in the early days of the NBA became the logo for the league. So now in a league where, Air Jordan is certainly, I think, the logo that we attest to, right? That's the league of the modern day. It's a high flying above the rim league. No, back in 1970, they decided to make Jerry West, a slow white guy doing a crossover dribble, the logo of the NBA. Jerry West was also a hothead. I don't know if you saw the HBO, maybe at the time it was HBO Max. I don't know. The Winning Season, which is the mini series that depicts the Showtime Lakers. Well, Jerry West is one of the main guys in that because he was the GM of those Lakers teams. Very interesting. Very interesting. But I still laugh about the logo. I'm like, really, NBA? That's your logo? A slow white guy? Doing a crossover? Come on. Let's redo the logo. You telling me that the NBA logo shouldn't be the Nike Jumpman logo? It should be. I know it can't be two things, but it should be. Let's see here. Born on this day in 1949. Oh, here's a darling. Here's a sweetheart. Wendy O. Williams. Wendy O. Williams was a punk rock singer. She fronted a band called the Plasmatics. Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics. Fun fact about Wendy O. Williams, which is probably going to come as a huge shock to a lot of people. Wendy O. Williams was a teetotaler. Wendy O. Williams was straight edge. Wendy O. Williams didn't do drugs. She looked like she did. And, all of our parents and stuff back then in 1983 were like, this is what happens when you do the junk or whatever, they would say. No, she was straight edge. Here's another thing about Wendy O. Williams. She was a vegetarian who ran 6 miles a day. She was a health nut. Wendy O. Williams in the Plasmatics. How did she die? She killed herself. That's how she died. She also had depression. Okay, so she was physically fit and she was, a health freak, but also depression. So she died. On this day in when did she die? No, she didn't die on this day. She died in 98. She was born on this day in 1949. Wendy O. Williams, of course, of the Plasmatics. Born on this day in 1969, former Toronto mayor Rob Ford. Remember him? Crack-smoking mayor Rob Ford? He's dead too. He died like 10 years ago. He died young. He didn't look healthy. Rob Ford did not look like a dude who should be dabbling in cocaine. Or crack, for that matter, because it was crack, right? That we saw him. Big fat guy, big fat 40-year-old pink dude. He's pink because the blood in his body is just struggling so hard to get to his brain because he's just got 40 years of cheese products blocking the blood. It's just he's Rob Ford. Happy birthday, Rob Ford. Born on this day in 69. Born on this date in 71, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. Marco Rubio. Born on this day in 1978. Do you guys know who this guy is? Here's why I ask. I know who this guy is, but I know who he is for a secondary reason to why other people might know who he is. Apparently he's an actor. Apparently he's been in shows that people like. He's been in shows that I've never seen. My son loves him as Spider-Man, but I only know him as a really high-profile Chicago Bears fanatic. So we're going to mention Jake Johnson. Jake Johnson. He's very funny. I just don't know what he does. I've never seen him in anything because I never watched The New Girl. Apparently he was the star of The New Girl. Dude with a beard. He's very funny in interviews, like when he goes on Dan Patrick or Rich Eisen or local Chicago sports radio to talk Bears. He's very funny. Happy birthday, Jake Johnson. Honestly, my son's like, no, he's famous, Dad. He's funny. I'm like, okay, whatever. He's a Bears fan. That's all I know him for. Jake Johnson, born on this day in 1978. We're going to round it out with another very high-profile Bears fan celebrating a birthday, born on this day in 1986. My favorite wrestler, and I haven't had a favorite wrestler since Randy Macho Man Savage. That was the last time I had a favorite wrestler. I was 12. But now my son is super into wrestling, so I've been forced to adopt a wrestler, and I've chosen our birthday boy and incredibly vocal ambassador for Chicago Beardom, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins. I love Seth Rollins. So my Bears, two things. My Bears do this thing, and I think maybe the Cowboys do too. And if they don't, they should. The Bears produce monthly in-house Hard Knocks type shows. And it's called 1920 Football Drive. It's a series, the YouTube channel, 1920 Football Drive. Looks aesthetically like you're watching an episode of Hard Knocks, but it's just, and the Bears do it every month. And it's always, really interesting stories. So this one, the new one was released yesterday, the new 1920 Football Drive, and it concerned the draft, right? How did they make their selections? Behind the scenes in the draft room, conversations between scouts. Anyway, it's very good. I enjoyed it. Seth Rollins, our birthday boy, got a big moment in 1920 Football Drive. He was, because he did our third pick at the draft. And he was in Green Bay, and he talked all kinds of shit about Green Bay. Yeah, they showed the Chicago Bears draft room reacting to it. It was pretty cool. I liked it. I'll tell you the other thing that was really cool. We drafted a guy. Now, I know every team thinks they drafted a secret weapon, right? Every team thinks that they drafted a guy that no one's going to see coming. But we got a guy. We got a guy that we drafted in the 4th round, Ruben Hippolyte. Reuben Hippolyte III. He's a linebacker out of Maryland. Okay. Now he dropped all the way to the third round because he's kind of small for a linebacker. And, Maryland, so whatever. There were other linebackers ahead of him. But his relative athletic score, which is something that, oh, God, here we go. I'm doing sports talk. Holy fuck. I'm doing sports talk. So Reuben Hippolyte's relative athletic score among linebackers was not great. It was like in the middle. Like of all the other linebackers that were coming out in the draft, his relative athletic score when compared to other linebackers wasn't great. This is why we feel like we've got some kind of secret weapon that Ben Johnson is going to play with. His relative athletic score had him graded in the middle of linebackers. Reuben Hippolyte III's relative athletic score, when you compare it not with his position group linebackers, but when you compare it to running backs, he's number one. He was number one. He is a linebacker who ran a 4.4, and he's rumored to go even faster than that. He's an absurdly fast sideline to sideline linebacker who, is very interesting. Anyway, there was a scene in the 1920 football drive show yesterday, the new one, where they show the pro day for Reuben Hippolyte, just like a clip of it, and they show all of the NFL scouts, like every team. They're standing there with their stopwatches, and they show after this linebacker runs like a 4.4 or a 4.3. They show every single one of the scouts. They're all wearing the hats from their different teams. Every single one of the scouts is like looking at each other's stopwatch. They're all shaking their head like, what? What did that linebacker just run? What did that? So that was fun too. Yeah, I got football in the brain. I want to start doing football stuff. It'll just be me screaming into the emptiness though. What else is new? All right, let's keep going. Seth Rollins, happy birthday. Born on this day in 1986. Noted Bears fan. Let's do dead people. Dead people. All right, let's see here. These are people who died on this day. Let's decide whether or not they went to heaven or hell. Dead on this day in 1971. Here's somebody, I don't know, do we even know him? Like, I know him. He was somebody that my grandpa talked about a lot. My grandpa was a big fan of this guy. But I don't know that he's famous, and he should be. And you know what? I'm going to put him in heaven. There we go. I'm putting him in heaven just on brand alone. His brand for years and years stood for something. Earlier this morning, I was overturning some rocks, and I found some things that, were troubling. But I'm not gonna let that. Dead on this day in 1971, and we're putting him in heaven. Audie Murphy. Audie Murphy. Do we know who Audie Murphy is? He was an actor, but that's not why he should be known. Audie Murphy is the most decorated soldier in the history of the United States. Audie Murphy has been awarded every single combat medal the United States offers, every single combat medal France offers, every single combat medal the United Kingdom offers, and every single combat medal Italy offers. That's what a badass Audie Murphy was. Texas sharecropper kid. Never knew his dad. Mom abandoned the family. He was raised in foster care. He was sent to World War II underage. He was like 15 when he signed up for World War II after Pearl Harbor. He goes over there, and what does he do? 15, 16 years old. He's a goddamn killing machine. That's what he is. One of the greatest soldiers, one of the greatest warriors, one of the greatest combat heroes in the history of the United States. After all of these accolades in World War II, this rube from Texas, right? This sharecropper orphan kid, he doesn't know what he's going to do with his life. And guess what? Hollywood came calling because, post-World War II, Hollywood was all about, World War II, big thing. They made him a movie star. I don't even know if he could act. He did mostly Westerns. He's popular. I mean, he TV shows and movies and stuff. He was a very successful working actor who was also a celebrity. And, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's actually an actor. Is he a good actor? or was he just a dude that Hollywood made famous? But at any rate, he died in 1971. He was fairly young. Was born in 1925. So what was he there? So, well, I was told there would be no math. All right, he was young. Let's just say that he was young. Why does 71? Why can't I just, in my mind, do 70? Why couldn't it be 70? So he was 56, right? Is that right? Or 46? I don't know. Anyway, Audie Murphy, we're putting him in heaven. Oh, by the way, also, he is a guy, and this is very interesting, because beginning in the 1950s, this guy went around the country talking to people, trying to explain to people what battle fatigue was. Battle fatigue, he suffered terribly from battle fatigue. Was also known after World War I as shell shock. Of course, now we know it as PTSD. PTSD is a real thing. It's always been around. And one of the earliest advocates for us actually taking this seriously was Audie Murphy. Because that dude had some serious PTSD, slept with a gun under his pillow every night. There are dudes out there right now who probably sleep with a gun under their pillow, and they ain't seen 1/100th of the shit that Audie Murphy saw. Audie Murphy, dead on this day in 1971, a real American hero. Dead on this day in 1998. Here's another hero. This is a hero of mine. This guy was awesome. Hold on, Mr. Popular. My phone's ringing. Thought I turned my phone off. Ugh. Spam risk, it says. Dead on this day in 1998, and a true tragedy to the comedy world, Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman, put him in heaven, because I love Phil Hartman. I can talk about Phil Hartman, any number of things I could say about Phil Hartman, but one thing that I just recently learned that I was shocked by. So over the weekend, I caught that new HBO documentary. We talked about it on this show. Pee-wee as himself, the story Pee-wee Herman. Pee-wee Herman died of cancer. Pee-wee Herman told nobody he was dying of cancer, but made a documentary. And throughout the course of this documentary, he's dying of cancer, and nobody knows about it till the very end. Anyway, it was pretty good. If you're a Pee-wee Herman fan, as I am, it is pretty interesting to hear Paul Reubens talk about creation of the character of Pee-wee Herman and what it was like living as Pee-wee Herman and the choices that he made to not be Paul Reubens ever, but to always just be Pee-wee Herman. I mean, it's a really interesting story, given the fact that this man is telling the story when he's dying, adds some real credibility to it. You know, I think that when people are confronting their own mortality, they're less likely to get bogged down in bullshit. You know, they're going to want to like really have it told the way it's supposed to be told. So I thought that aspect of it was really good, because we as the viewer, we know he's dead. We know he's dead, and we know he's dying. And I keep getting like, the director is like challenging on him on stuff. And I'm like, well, doesn't this director know that he's dying? And then it turns out, no, the director did not know that he was dying. So anyway, where does Phil Hartman get involved in all of this? So I did not know this, but Phil Hartman and Pee-wee Herman were not friendly. They had a falling out. Now, why? Well, Pugs, why would they be friendly? Well, because they were on Pee-wee's Playhouse together, because that's where Phil Hartman started. Phil Hartman Captain Carl, I think, in the original staging of Pee-wee's Playhouse. Pee-wee, they go through the entire story of Pee-wee's Playhouse and how it became a thing on this HBO doc. And it was Phil Hartman and Pee-wee Herman. Pee-wee Herman had created this character, and then Phil Hartman and Pee-wee, they got together and they created this stage show that they put on at the Groundlings. It became an underground hit. It moved to the Roxy, then it moved to HBO, and then pretty soon Pee-wee Herman's got his own show on CBS, and he's doing movies with Tim Burton. Phil Hartman got left behind. Now, it would work out fine for Phil Hartman, because in a couple of years, he would go on to be Phil Hartman from Saturday Night Live. But apparently, Phil Hartman and Pee-wee Herman, who were Paul Reubens, who were incredibly close friends, had a falling out. And it lasted until Phil Hartman's death. There was never any sort of... Pee-wee Herman talks about it. I think you should watch it. Pee-wee, my story. Me as Pee-wee. Pee-wee. Just go to HBO Max and put in Pee-wee. Phil Hartman's going to heaven. He was murdered by his psycho wife. Dead on this day in 2010. How about Gary Coleman? Gary Coleman died on this day. Wasn't yesterday like Todd Bridges' birthday? It was Todd Bridges' birthday yesterday, right? And I'm like, Jesus, nobody expected him to outlive everybody else. I think we all expected Gary to go first, though, right? Because wasn't that part of the whole thing of Gary Coleman? The guilt of watching Gary Coleman was that we all somewhere knew that like he had no kidneys or something. It was like, oh, yeah, that little kid, he's hysterical. You know he's going to die soon. Like, that was always sort of the brand on Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman, where do we put him, heaven or hell? I'm putting him in heaven. I got no beef with Gary Coleman. People fucked with that kid. That kid, yeah, okay. So he was Gary Coleman in 1986, and that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. We should all live, we should all have 15 minutes as Gary Coleman in 1985. We should. He got that for a number of years, but then there was a lot of nonsense that came with it. Like he could never not be Gary Coleman because he never grew above 4'3" or whatever he was. I don't know. Putting him in heaven. Gary Coleman. Put him in heaven. Sued his parents. Remember that? He sued his parents because they stole all his money. Gary Coleman. Jeez. All right. Dead on this day in 2010. Dead on this day in 2014. Okay, so before I say the name, let's just say I'm going to put him in heaven. Just going to put her in heaven. No questions asked. Going to heaven. Like, I need that smoke. Like, and I don't have any reason to not put her in heaven. I also don't have any real reason to put her in hell. I don't know. I don't know who this person was. This person was introduced to America, or at least my segment of America. This person was introduced to my segment of America, white people from the suburbs, around about the mid-90s. And we were all expected to pretend like we were very familiar with her, that she'd been an icon in this country for 50 years. And I don't know, it's kind of like Serena when Serena died, or Selena. It's Selena. Remember when Selena died and everybody pretended like she was a big star, but then everybody in America was like, I don't know who she is. I've never heard of her. That's kind of how this person was. This person was all of a sudden famous, and not just like all of a sudden famous, like hot new artist. This person was like all of a sudden famous, like we should carve her into mountains. And I don't know anything about Maya Angelou. She came out of nowhere. I'm a white guy. All of a sudden, Maya Angelou's a thing. Thanks, Oprah. Like all of a sudden, like we're all supposed to, I don't know anything about her. Seemed like a nice old lady, nice old black lady, soft-spoken. She would say things and then the whole crowd would go, ooh. Like she's a yogi, like she's got just these real important. What, she did a book, right? She wrote a book once? I don't know. But then again, I shouldn't feel guilty. Here's the thing. I don't feel guilty about not knowing who Maya Angelou is. You want to know why? Because I don't think I'm her target audience. Thank you. I used to do a radio show. I used to work in radio, and for like 30 years in radio, we were so demographic oriented. We used to have a picture of the person we wanted to listen to this show, just a generic person. And they would say, this is the guy you're talking to. And so that was always a tool. Demographics were real. Whenever I would meet somebody, like if I met like an older woman, right? And she was like, well, I'm unfamiliar with your show. I don't listen. I was never hurt by that because she's not my target. If she liked my show, I'd be doing something wrong, right? So that's why I don't feel guilty about not knowing who Maya Angelou is. I don't think I was her target. I don't think so. I think I'm not a young black girl who can use a pep talk, right? Isn't that who Maya Angelou's for? Young black girls who need pep talks. I don't need that. You know who my Maya Angelou? Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra is my Maya Angelou. A middle-aged white guy. What does Frank think about this? Well, Frank's been dead for 2 decades. That's unfortunate. All right, Maya Angelou. But like I said, I'm putting her in heaven because I don't want that smoke. I don't know. She seems nice. I saw her on Oprah once. She seemed nice. Didn't know who she was. All right, let's move on. Once again, I want to thank our executive producers on today's show. We've got 2 of them. They're sharing the day. They were both equally gracious and kind with their donations this month. So thank you so much to Kim and Tracy D. Once again, Pledge Week starts next week, but if you want to get a jump on it, you can drop something in the Venmo or the Cash App. There you go. All right, now we get into quarter four. This is where we talk about all the things that are happening in the world. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, I'll jump into the chat room. Why not? There's some people that have some things. Al is in the chat room. Al says, talking about the Pee-wee documentary that's now on Max or HBO Max. He says, I didn't realize that David Arquette and Pee-wee were good friends. Yeah. I'm trying to think like what the David Arquette thing was. There were a number of things in the Pee Wee Herman. It's a two-part, right? Two-parter, I think. Excuse me. It's really good. It's really good. I was high when I saw it. God, I wish David Arquette. I'm like, yeah, man. What did David Arquette do, man? I'm like, I'm trying to remember what David Arquette did. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Adam's here in the chat room. Adam says he's apologizing. Sorry, I'm late. Tell your face. I don't even know if that means anything. Jeff is in the chat room. He says, sounds like she should have did drugs then. Says, is that Wendy O. Williams? Maybe Wendy O. Williams. I don't know. All right, let's get into the hot topics. Hot topics. Here we go. Grapevine Lake. Start locally. We have an incident that occurred on Grapevine Lake over Memorial Day weekend. We had a girl who was killed, a beautiful young girl, 18 years old, getting ready to go into the military, the Air Force. She had just, she was going to boot camp in 2 weeks. She had just completed some officers training thing that was, something, whatever. She was a legit kid with legit plans, said she wanted to be a 4-star general. That was her goal. She wanted to be a career military officer. That was her dream. She's out there in Grapevine Lake on Sunday canoeing. And some yahoos, some idiots on jet skis. And I feel like I can say that because I'm a jet ski guy. I'm hard about the rules, though. I got a couple of teens that use our jet skis. We got real rules concerning those teens. Apparently, these idiots out there on Lake Grapevine, they didn't have such rules. And this young girl, off to the military, 18-year-old, she gets run down in the lake on a canoe. She's on a canoe. She's canoeing with a bunch of people. She doesn't even live here. She's just up here in North Texas visiting her mom before she goes off to the military. She's having a nice Memorial Day weekend. And then some idiot on a jet ski, 2 chicks. I'm sorry, I don't know any of this to be true, but I'm just going to say it because, well, I've been to a couple rodeos. 2 fucking drunk moron chicks. Memorial Day, probably been slamming beers or whatever, and now they're out there jacking around on the jet ski, probably rented. We still don't have an answer as to whether or not, because as the story goes, these idiots run down this beautiful young lady in this canoe, and then they beach the jet ski, and the driver of the jet ski jumps into a car with another young man, and they flee the scene. Now, upon fleeing the scene, they strike 2 more vehicles that were in the parking lot. Fucking idiots. Okay, so that leaves the passenger on the jet ski. The passenger on the jet ski is there. Civilians, witnesses, are dragging this poor girl out of the water, dragging her to shore, trying to do CPR and all of that stuff. And the passenger is like, I didn't even know who that was. Likely story, whatever. Okay. So the passenger, she stays, she talks to cops. She doesn't know anything about the people. We got a manhunt here for about 48 hours looking for this girl who I termed sloppy tits. She looks like a dumb party girl out there at the lake with her big sloppy bikini tits. I'm angry. Allow me to be angry. She made a bad choice. So then yesterday, right, before anyone knew anything, and again, I don't know if this is luck or whatever, because I've seen it go the other way a whole bunch of times. But the people started saying she was an illegal. This girl who ran down this beautiful all-American future hero going off to the military, this monster who ran her down and then jumped in a car and then sideswiped 2 other cars in the parking lot while making their exit. This monster was one of these Venezuelan illegals. And you start hearing that online yesterday. And I even made reference to it. I'm like, yeah, people are running their mouths, man. Police aren't saying anything. Guess what? Police are saying something. She's a fucking illegal Venezuelan. She's been here for 2 years, snuck into this country 2 years ago. Here's what happened. She got caught. Now, look, we don't do immigration as a topic here, but we do jet skiing as a topic. And I think that this falls into the realm of my expertise, which is jet skiing in North Texas lakes. All right, so apparently this chick comes into this country in 2023. She sneaks in. Okay, whatever. Fair play. We know that this is how it happens, right? They sneak in. That's fine. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm just trying to move on to the next thought. So she sneaks in. She gets instantly busted. Busted. So she gets busted for being in this country illegally, and then she's released on her own recognizance. Now, I know that this is standard operating procedure, that this is kind of how it works, and this is also exactly why people on both sides of the aisle, right, left, and center, all acknowledge we need to do something about our fucked up immigration system, because this girl snuck into the country, was immediately caught sneaking into the country, was arrested, spent 24 hours in jail, and then was released on the American side to her own recognizance, pledging to show up in court. Guess what? She didn't show up in court because nobody does. So there really is nothing stopping you. I mean, why can't, when you catch some, I get it. It's a Constitution thing. I'm not a legal scholar. I would have to really think about the moral implications of a lot of these things. I get it. But when somebody sneaks in and we catch them sneaking in, why do we let them stay here for a while? Why don't they just immediately go back? We caught you. Like it's a cat and mouse game. We caught you. Go back. I mean, so there is no, if you are trying to come to America because you want to wash dishes at, wherever off Beltline in Addison. So if you come to America seeking that, and you're seeking the life that comes with it and the dreams and all that, the beauty of the immigrant experience in this country, right? We acknowledge that there is a beauty to it, because if we don't acknowledge it, we're hypocrites, because almost all of us came that way to this country. So if you're sneaking into this country with the end goal being washing dishes on Beltline, you can't lose, right? Because even if you get caught, you get released into the country where you were caught. And they're like, now you come back you seem like a nice boy. You're going to come back. I mean, that's fucking crazy. So that's the story with this chick, the Grapevine Lake girl. Let's get into some of the more details. I think we got pictures and stuff too. It says here, Grapevine Lake jet ski hit and run. Police are releasing new details about the deadly crash, although they still don't know if it's a rented jet ski. They think it might be. One, because they just left it. Two, the car they left in didn't have a jet ski tow, so it was probably a jet ski that stayed at the lake. And three, I don't think they have a marina slot. They don't seem like the kind of people that would pay like $50,000 a year for a little marina slot for their jet ski. Officials held a news conference Wednesday morning and released more information about the fatal jet ski hit and run on Grapevine Lake. Texas game wardens, Grapevine police, and yes, Homeland Security were in attendance. 18-year-old Ava Moore was killed in a hit-and-run jet ski crash while kayaking over Memorial Day. 2 suspects were arrested Tuesday after fleeing the scene and then crashing into 2 separate vehicles in the parking lot. It says here, Texas game wardens and Grapevine police have released more info. What do we have here? Oh, is this a news story on them? Let's take a look. All right, let's just watch the news story. Let's do that. I haven't seen any news stories on it. All right, here we go. Let's get Stevie. Is this Steve Eager and Heather Hayes? Helen Hayes. Oh, that is not good. All
And arrest
Let's let
records are
Steve Eager
revealing
and
what police
Heather
believe
Hayes,
happened
my
right
old
before
friend
and
Heather
after a
Hayes, tell
fatal
us
hit
about
and
this.
run with a jet skier on Grapevine Lake. Leaders are revealing what police believe.
I love Heather Hayes. I used to party with Heather Hayes. Heather Hayes used to like to party. Like after she did the news at like 10 o'clock, she'd like, I'm not going to say where she at Carson's. She'd be at Carson's hanging out. Heather was fun. Heather hooked up with a friend of mine. Anyway. All right. Heather and Steve Eager. They've been doing the news here in Dallas for like 40 years together. All right. I don't watch local news anymore. So forgive me. I haven't seen these people in years.
Believe happened right before and after a fatal hit and run with a jet skier on Grapevine Lake.
The operator of the jet ski, Carolyn Alejandra Gonzalez, arrested this morning in Dallas. Police also revealed they arrested.
Hey, okay, so why did Heather only say Gonzalez once? Did you notice that? I got tripped up on it yesterday because her name is Dikerlin Alejandro Gonzalez. Which at first I was like, that's stupid. The name Dikerland is stupid, but also Gonzalez. I was like, that's stupid. But that was just me being uncomfortable with something I wasn't familiar with. It's been 24 hours. I dig the Gonzalez. I dig it. I would like to be Pugs Moran. I think that's cool. All right. Anyway, Heather refused to play her double Gonzalez game. Respect, Heather. Respect.
Michael Pearl's morning in jet ski. Carolyn Alejandra Gonzalez arrested this morning in Dallas. Police also revealed they arrested Michael Pearl for helping Gonzalez flee the scene. ICE confirms they're also investigating the two on immigration matters. It says the Air Force reveals that victim, 18-year-old Ava Moore, was set to join its academy. Fox 4's David Santendry joins us now with the latest from police. David.
What's up with this guy? I haven't watched local news in a long time. This looks like a dude. Did they just pull him out of the bar? He looks like he was sitting on a bar stool having like a cold beer. Look at him. What is he wearing? What is with his facial hair? I'm so confused by local news in 2025.
Yeah, Heather and Steve, and tonight we are learning more about what led to that crash. According to a newly obtained arrest warrant affidavit, that jet ski was traveling at a high rate of speed and in close proximity to swimmers and others. The kayakers had made the decision to paddle away from the area and were in the process of doing so when Gonzalez struck the kayak operated by Ava Moore from behind. It's reported that bystanders tried to apprehend those suspects and actually were able to do so with an occupant on that jet ski, but the driver got away, but not before a photo was taken of her and shared with law enforcement.
The police came and they went to that house right there.
Oak Cliff neighbors rattled Tuesday morning as law enforcement surrounded a home off Atlas Drive.
I don't really care what people do around me. I don't care if it's cops involved, SWAT involved, whatever. I just mind my own business.
But while trying to stay to himself, Angel Gonzalez could not help hear authorities demand two people, reportedly on the run from a deadly lake crash, surrender.
I mean, everything that our officers and all the agencies have been doing is for Ava Moore.
18-year-old Ava Moore, a recent U.S. Air Force Academy preparatory school graduate, was killed after being struck by a jet ski while kayaking on Grapevine Lake Sunday.
And then I heard someone in the crowd say she hit someone. And so I automatically turned around to go back toward the water because I was concerned.
Lisa Scrayback there as a group pulled Moore from the lake.
You know, we just started life-saving measures, checking her pulse at that time.
But Moore passed away, and the woman on the jet ski fled.
I turned around to look at the water, and I could see her and the passenger on the jet ski going away from the incident, and they were waving toward like their people, and you could tell they were trying to get away.
Someone shared this photo of the suspect with Texas game wardens, who released it to the public. It's shared thousands of times across social media. Tuesday morning, authorities identified her as Carolyn Alejandro Gonzalez. Attorney General Ken Paxton says she was in the country illegally, and we saw immigration officials on scene early Tuesday. Gonzalez was located inside this Oak Cliff home. A woman renting here, who does not want to show her face, says several rooms inside are rented. She claims she first saw Gonzalez Monday night with a man who lives there.
It seemed like her photo was so clear that she would just be caught very soon.
Gonzalez now in custody for the death of Moore, according to game wardens. On top of that, Grapevine police say Mikel Coelho Perozzo Also, a reported illegal immigrant from Venezuela will face additional charges for a vehicle crash while driving away from the lake with Gonzalez.
Where they crashed into 2 different vehicles and got out of the car and ran away.
Had some Oak Cliff neighbors known they were reportedly hiding next door, they say they would have called 911.
I would probably try to tip them off and tell them that they were here.
Gonzalez is facing several charges, the most significant being manslaughter. Texas game wardens.
This guy looks like he plays bass in a dad rock band, doesn't he? Like you just go down to your local tavern and like Friday night, he and the boys will be up there playing, doing some Thin Lizzy covers.
We'll have a press conference tomorrow morning. We'll make sure to have a crew out there. For now, Heather, Steve, back to y'all.
All right, David.
Although also maybe kind of a Freddie Mercury thing. Maybe he's in like a Queen tribute band.
Tendry, thank you.
All right, there you have it. That's a sad story out there. That story went a little longer than I thought. Normally I don't play things that long. But here we are. All right, the Grapevine Lake thing. Turns out she wasn't illegal. Let's see. What else do we got here? What's the next story we're going to talk about? How about this? Oh, Musk and Trump. What are they fighting? These 2 guys, they're fighting about stuff. Musk is apparently angry about the big, beautiful bill, which, you know, we don't cover here. So we're moving on. More in the world of Elon Musk, SpaceX. Okay, so you know me, I'm a space geek. SpaceX did another Falcon launch last night, and it didn't go well. It disintegrated upon re-entry. It got off the pad. It got into orbit. Okay, it was not a successful test. Okay, but because the last 3 in a row now have been failures, you know, they're spinning this like, oh, that was an incomplete test. Or Elon Musk himself, partially successful. I'm telling you, if you're only on Twitter, the platform that is controlled by Elon Musk, you don't think that if you're only on Twitter, I'm telling you, he's doing something about the information about the SpaceX launch last night, because it was a failure and people are beginning to panic because they obviously cannot figure it out. Every time something goes wrong, you're supposed to be able to solve that for the next launch, and then something else goes wrong and then you solve that. Unfortunately, with this rocket, it is now 3 launches in a row that have succumbed to the same problem. They cannot fix this problem. But if you're on Twitter, you know, it's all, partial success. And Elon is tweeting, you know, really cool high definition videos of the launch. The launch looks great. Here, I'll show you that here. This is what Elon is tweeting out. But it wasn't a success, not by any space nerds. Hold on. I'll put it to you this way. You want to know why it wasn't a success? Because if there were astronauts, they're dead. Okay? The astronauts die. It will not be a success until we can time and time again get off the pad, get into space, and then re-enter with whatever humanoid thing is in there, whether it's a dog, a goldfish, or a goddamn human being. They have to be alive. That is a success. This, unfortunately, was not. But this looks great. Look at it. This is beautiful. Here at Starbase, Texas. I mean, first of all, look at this engine. Look at that. That is like something out of a 1970s sci-fi movie. That does not look like any rocket engine that I've ever seen. My God, look at this thing. Here it is here. You can watch this engine. You can see when certain aspects begin to fail because the lights will go down. But this is an incredible, incredible piece of technology. But God damn, they can't get it right.
T plus 47.
Well, there it is. All right, so that's That's what Elon is sharing. And it was a successful launch. And that is a very good thing. You check that box. But it did. The astronauts died is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. Let's see here. Here, I wanted to mention this. I did a deep dive last night about this rocket and the problems that it's been having. And I found a couple of real interesting takes from a few space nerds. These are not political takes, okay? These are space nerds like me. These are people who are like really into watching these things and hoping and praying that somehow humanity can find a way to explore what's next. We've conquered the oceans. We conquered the atmosphere. Now we need to get outside and find out what's happening on other rocks, right? So people like that, that's where this attitude is coming from. This isn't political or we hate Elon. So here's an interesting take. Let me read this to you. He says, one thing we never talk about is how NASA was not allowed to fail in the same way that SpaceX does. For NASA, they've been under a strict microscope of not wasting taxpayer dollars in their pursuits. The bar was always high. SpaceX has a much lower bar, all while still using taxpayer dollars. That is absolutely true. The reason that we have privatized space is because there was a decision made that, one, people didn't want to pay for space. They didn't want to pay for the space shuttle. They didn't want to pay for a space pickup truck, was essentially what the space shuttle was. And the idea was, well, private industry could do it far cheaper and it would relieve the burden upon the taxpayers. Well, okay, so now we've got, but it hasn't relieved the burden. The taxpayers are still paying and subsidizing all of these failures by SpaceX. And nobody, as this person points out, nobody seems to be holding SpaceX and their endless failures to the same standard that we held NASA to. NASA was far more effective at doing this shit. We do not have endless video highlights or lowlights of NASA rockets, big rockets where, you know, you get the TVs out and people watch. We don't have endless highlights of those things exploding. We've got 2 space shuttles that exploded. We've got 1 Apollo rocket that didn't explode, caught fire on the pad during testing. We do not have these instances where time and time again, these fucking multi-billion-dollar taxpayer dollar subsidized bullshit cannons just explode. And Elon's got the added thing of his shit is exploding over population centers, right? You know, the falling debris from all of these things, that wasn't a problem for NASA. NASA was held to a much higher standard, and NASA accomplished far more than what's happening here with SpaceX. This is 3 in a row now of these incredibly expensive rockets that, yes, we are paying for. I know that somehow we think that we're not. We are. We are still paying with government contracts and all kinds of cush deals. And yeah, still taxpayer dollars. NASA money is being funded into SpaceX because SpaceX is doing the things that NASA no longer does. Somebody else said this, Sarah Zhang. She's a writer, a NASA writer. She says, okay, I feel completely insane asking this, but like, weren't we not blowing up rockets like 50 years ago? Weren't we successfully sending rockets up that did not rattle apart? Also, weren't we like, oh yeah, that was a fail when the rocket fell apart instead of calling it a partial success? That's the thing that pisses me off. That is absolutely true. There was a commitment to the truth of science that when something fucking didn't work, they called it a failure. But Musk and his ego and SpaceX, they can't allow for failures to be. So everything is about successful launch. Yeah, did you get it back, you fuck? You lying, manipulative bastard? The launch was successful, but how about the re-entry? Are the astronauts alive? No? Well, then it wasn't a success. This fucking guy's afraid to put human beings in his rockets because he knows that they're gonna die. We need to get past this. We need to get past this. We need to get to a point where we can send the, you know, like in movies where you see depictions of the future, like 500 years in the future. And instead of airports, we just have these rocket ports. and you see somebody driving in like a space hover taxi. And in the distance, you'll just see endless rockets going. That's where we need to get to. And we're not there. We're not even close to being there, man. All right. Curious case of SpaceX. One more failure in the books. Here, you want to watch some body cam arrests? So we've been following the Louisiana jailbreakers, 10 of them. About 2 weeks ago, they broke out of a jail there in Louisiana. We had a little running man game going, but I'm out of it. Jermaine Donald, he was my pick. He was one of the inmates. I had Jermaine Donald being the last one caught, but unfortunately, Jermaine Donald got caught over the weekend. There are two still out there in the wind. One of them with tattoos all over his face, just defying the odds. Any of you savvy bettors out there, if you placed a long shot on the guy with tattoos all over his face to be the last one caught, you are sitting pretty, aren't you? Because that guy is still out there in the wind. Two of them, my guy, Jermaine Donald, and I don't know, who's the other guy? Who cares? Doesn't matter. Leo Tate and my guy, Jermaine Donald, they got caught here in Texas, this side of the border. Apparently there was a car chase involved. Some badass Texas kind of handled it. Body cam. You interested? Of course you are. All right, let's watch this body cam here from 2 of the missing 10 Louisiana escapees being caught by a bunch of Texas cops. Here you go. This is my guy. You see my guy get pulled out of the back seat. My guy is Jermaine Donald. Really thought he had the look of a man that was not going to be taken alive. Really thought that he would be gone. No, they caught him.
Hey, everybody move to the right side of the car. Open the door, dude. I'm not opening you.
That's my guy hanging out the back seat.
Get out.
There you go. They're gonna pull my guy out.
Go with them.
Pants are down.
Got hands if everybody can hold it. Jumbo, good hands? Shut up. Unlock the door with your right hand. No, Jumbo, back up. Crawl to him. Put him in the car. Put him in the car. All the way out. Crawl. Back to quick.
All right, there you have it. They caught him. So the 2 that were caught in Texas the other day, the two are left. So okay, so let's try and put ourselves in their position. We've been out now. We've been out of jail a week. We thought we were probably going to be in jail for a long ass time, but look at us. It's been a week. We're breathing fresh air. We can drink booze if we want to. You know, we can go rob somebody. We can do whatever we want. We're like out there. We're in the wind. We're free. We're being chased and everybody's looking for us. So we got to be low key about it. But so it's been like 11, 12 days. These guys, they're out there. What do you think their plan is? Like, do they have a plan? Like, is their mindset, let's just keep doing this until we get caught? Or is it like, if we can just get to point B, then we can get to point C and we can be free? Like, was there a plan? I don't think so. I don't know. Anyway. There you have it. What else do we have here? All right. The Tate brothers. The Tate brothers. We don't talk much about these guys because I don't want to really give them any more oxygen than I think. And even though we've got a very small little group of people here, we don't need to be wasting our time talking about these miscreants. The Tate brothers have now been charged with 4 counts of rape in the United Kingdom. I don't know how this is going to affect their MAGA speaking schedule. All right, the Tate boys, they've been charged with 4 counts of rape. They're the worst. These people are the worst. Now, actually, they're not the worst. They're not the worst. I actually have a little bit of admiration for them. They're not the worst. The worst are people who like them. The people who like them. The people who empower the Tate boys who go, you know, he makes a good point. Those people are the worst. Not the Tate guys. They're just salesmen. They're just selling a shit product. I don't like the product they're selling, but they're selling it. And they're very good at it. What's the excuse for the dude that pays like $30 a month to be on some fucking reading list? No. Anyway, the Tate brothers, they're in the news again. Kevin Costner is being sued. Kevin Costner is being sued by a woman who's a stunt woman on that. What was that movie? American something. It's a big cowboy movie. So Kevin Costner was a big movie star. And then Kevin Costner was nothing for like 15 years. And it's like, he's a has-been. He used to be in movies in the 80s, but now nobody knows him. So we went and did a TV series for Paramount, which for a guy like Kevin Costner was probably a real step down. Well, lo and behold, Yellowstone becomes a huge hit. And all of a sudden, Kevin Costner feels like he's Bull Durham era Kevin Costner again. And he walks away from that show. He's like, fuck you, I'm going to make a Western. And because he was hot when he walked away from Yellowstone, the stupid-ass movie theaters gave him everything. And they're like, you want to make a 15-hour Western epic, even though Western epics are box office poison? Well, he's Kevin Costner from Yellowstone. Let's give him what he wants. So he did that. I forgot what that movie was. I haven't seen it yet. It's out there. So anyway, he tried to make like this big, like he made one movie and it was 2 hours. And here was the plan. It was going to be released on like a Friday, right? And it would release it. And then 2 weeks later, part 2 was going to be released. And then after part 2, then they would see about part 3 and part 4. But he was Kevin Costner, who I like. Kevin Costner was all up in his bag. He's like, we've got all of this. It's going to be a monstrous thing. It's going to be like Star Wars. I'm going to be like George Lucas with this stuff. So what happened was the first movie, when it was released, it was like so underwhelming at the box office that the movie studio went, yeah, you know what? Never mind. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take it out of theaters. We're going to package it with the second movie that we were supposed to release in theaters in 2 weeks. We're not doing that anymore. That movie ain't taking up some valuable theater real estate. We're going to package them together and we're going to put it up there on the fucking streaming platforms. And there you go. And that's where it's been. It's a real serious bomb of a movie. Kevin Costner was feeling himself a little too much, got a little bit too much into his 1980s mentality, thought he was that guy. He ain't that guy. So anyway, during the making of this movie, there was a stunt woman, and there was a scene where Kevin Costner decided that the stunt woman was going to have to simulate a rough sex scene, a rape scene. And the stunt woman apparently, she did it, and then she worked on the film, and then she went out to dinner with everybody. And she had a really good time, and she wrote a really nice note to the producers at the end of her time there saying, this was one of the best experiences of my life, and blah, blah, blah. And I look forward to working with you again, and blah, blah, blah. All right. So all of that, right? That was like 2-3 years ago. Yeah. Well, now she's suing them. She said that she didn't want to be the stunt woman in that rape scene, and that. So, okay. So there's that. 3 years later, they got Kevin Costner's attorney's like, well, what about this letter she wrote us? She didn't mention anything about being, here's her big complaint. She was forced to participate as a stunt performer in a simulated rape scene in this movie. Here's the problem: without the presence of an intimacy coordinator. That's her big problem. These people that Hollywood have given careers to, and their whole job is that for like $300 an hour, they will stand on the set of a movie and say, are you okay with him kissing you like that? That's their entire job. Hollywood has created an industry of these intimacy coordinators, and they have fucked up productions on films endlessly since they were instituted. Why? Because they have to justify their existence by finding problems where there are no problems. So in this Horizon, is that what it's called? American Horizon or something, the Kevin Costner movie. Anyway, so in the shooting of this movie, Kevin Costner was like, no, let's try this scene now. Let's do it differently. Let's do it as a rape scene, right? It was just an idea that he had, which is something that creatives do all the time in movies. They do scenes, they shoot it, and then they decide, can we use this scene later? Well, because it was just sort of a let's try and do this with this scene kind of moment, they didn't have time to get the intimacy coordinator back from her hotel. She wasn't scheduled to be on set because that wasn't. So it was that kind of bullshit. And now 3 years later, this stunt performer is claiming that she's traumatized because there wasn't an intimacy An intimacy coordinator was not there for her to confide in. And she pays the price to this day. I'm so tired of this bullshit. Toughen the fuck up. The world is difficult, and there are a lot of assholes out there, and they will take advantage of you. And when you are taken advantage of, don't fucking cry about it. As our first lady says, be bester. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's talk about the Diddy trial. Diddy trial's going on right now. We've got day 11. Actually, I think it just ended. 3:00 New York time. Gotta love Judge Aram Subramaniam. The dude is keeping this trial. He is keeping it on track, man. Today in the trial, and I'll cover this on Diddy or Didn't He, which is my nightly recap of the Sean Diddy Combs trial every night at Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com or diddyordidn'the.com. Or you can just go to any of the Radio Misfits sites on YouTube or Facebook and you can find the video. Okay, so what happened today? Today, big news, very big news, ladies and gentlemen. Cassie gave birth. Yowza. That's right, Cassie, who was big old pregnant girl. She's the epicenter of these charges against Sean Diddy Combs. She was pregnant when she testified. They got her on early so that she could testify early. They got her in, they got her out. They're like, she could pop at any moment. Well, she popped. Cassie has her baby, a little boy. She's got a little boy. Congratulations. Congratulations. In about 12 years, that little boy is going to do a Google search about what was going on in the world the week that he was born, and he's going to read some things about his mom and freak offs, and it's not going to be good for him. Was almost rooting for a daughter for that very reason. I'm like, I think a daughter would handle that better. I think a daughter might be able to understand what mom was getting into. Sons, not so much. Sons are going to be like, nope. Can't process that. All right, so full breakdown of today in the Diddy trial coming up tonight on Radio Misfits with me. Diddy or Didn't He? President Trump giving out, look, you know, I'm not one of these people who gets all bent out of shape about fucking pardons, right? I don't know anything about pardons. Seems like they all pardon people, right? Seems like every president that has ever been president my entire life has pardoned somebody where someone in the media went, he shouldn't be pardoning this person. All right. And I never feel comfortable having the information to weigh in one way or another about whether or not those pardons were legit. Until now. Until now. Oh, fuck. What is going on with my voice? Sorry. I got to do something with my voice. My voice is going to be my weapon. It's got to be better. Until now I have a problem. The president is pardoning that Chris Lee dude. Oh, God, this is the worst. What the fuck? I try to keep my mouth shut. I do. I try to keep my mouth shut and not have opinions about this clown. But you guys know I don't like him, and it's not about politics. I've never liked him. I've always thought he was a fucking clown, a punchline. Why the fuck is he pardoning these Chrisleys from the reality show Chris Lee Knows Best? These people are obvious scumbags. Anybody watching that show, first of all, the dude is gay, okay? He is a gay man, and he's got a TV show that Americans have eaten up for like 10 years. He's got a TV show where he plays this father. He's got a father, and I got all these kids that I sired. That is a gay man. Okay, that is his name. Carson Chrisley. Is that his name? Sounds like it should be. Todd Chrisley. That's what it is. Todd and Julie Chrisley. Oh my God. Why the fuck is President Trump pardoning these people? Why the fuck? Oh, anyway, there you go. They've been pardoned. You know who's not happy? You know who's got a right to be not happy? You know who should be pardoned? If we're handing out pardons, the fucking Chrisleys actually made fake bank loans, okay? They made fake bank loans. Hold on. They basically misrepresented their wealth to the tune of $36 million taken from Atlanta banks over the course of 10 years. $36 million. So when they're bankrolling their reality series and you see them driving, fucking Rolls Royces and living in this house and everybody's got plastic surgery and it's just, they did that by stealing money from banks. They're fucking bank robbers, okay? They didn't walk in with an Uzi. They did it a different way. That's what they did. That is a fucking crime. It's just a fucking crime. But no, Trump's like, they can go free. That's white collar. I know people who've done that. They can go free. You know who really didn't do anything? You know who? I have no idea why he's in prison, and it looks like he's going to be in prison forever. Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic, the Tiger King. He's very pissed. Did you know he's in Fort Worth? Did you know he's in Fort Worth? And did you know I have a connection to the Tiger King? I do. I have a friend who is like a really good friend of the Tiger King. I have a friend who was the producer of that Tiger King show. Anyway, Joe is in jail in Fort Worth. He's in federal prison because Carol Baskin, murder for hire. He didn't do anything. Jailed reality star Joe Exotic rages after Trump's Chrisley pardon. Joe says, I guess being innocent isn't enough. He's very angry. Joe Exotic, Metal Donano, is not pleased with President Trump's pardon of Todd Chrisley and his wife, Julie. With the jailed reality TV star taking to social media to ask whether being innocent was enough anymore. Joe Exotic is best known for his role on the Netflix docuseries The Tiger King, which focuses on his work with big cats and his eventual arrest for allegedly paying a hitman to take out his rival, Carol Baskin. No, he didn't. That Carol Baskin, she's the one we ought to be looking at. Exotic was arrested in 2018, and he's in the 5th year of a 21-year sentence. He maintains his innocence, claiming coercion and other tactics are behind his charges. Anyway, God, my voice. Hold on. Anyway, Joe Exotic's pissed. He's angers. He's angers. And he's got a right to be. The Chrisleys did something that is just a cut and dry crime. Here's what I think. I think because the Chrisleys are bullshit fucking wannabe rich people, and they're like, and Joe Exotic is fucking trash. Let's be honest about Joe Exotic. He's fucking trash. He surrounds himself with meth heads. None of them have teeth. They're all missing limbs because they misjudged a moment with a tiger. Joe Exotic does not fit. Joe Exotic would not be welcome at Mar-a-Lago, okay? The Chrisleys would be. The Chrisleys are like exactly in that fucking weird, gross sort of mindset. Joe Exotic's trash. He's trash people. Trump ain't going to help trash people. That's what I think is going on. That's what I think is happening. Chrisley's bank fraud, sure. What else do we have here? Oh, another sad celebrity story. Actually, you know what? This is good news. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this is good news. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is a sad. This is too bad. We don't like this. Not me. I'm like, this is great news. You want to know why? Because the last time we talked about this person was dying. This person was like on her deathbed from some rare form of pneumonia. We did this story a couple of months ago, I think. Maybe it was longer than that. But we did the story about Mary Lou Retton, America's Olympic hero. Mary Lou Retton was battling some weird, bizarre form of pneumonia. And she was listed as any day now, like any moment now she could go. And that was a long time ago. And we never heard about her dying. And that's why her getting a DUI yesterday is good news. It's good. Look at Mary Lou. She's feeling good enough to get drunk and drive. That's awesome. Mary Lou Retton received a DUI. Here, let's get this. I'll get you the story. Do you see how we make a choice on how we process information? Instead of choosing to just be like, God, Mary Lou fucking loser. Instead of that, we're like, yeah, good for her. She's not dead. Last thing I heard, she was dying. Olympic gold medalist Mary Lou Retton was arrested. Olympic gold medalist Mary Lou Retton was arrested this month for DUI in West Virginia. What's she doing in West Virginia? She didn't seem like she should be in West Virginia. The former Olympian was arrested in Marion County, West Virginia on May 17th for driving under the influence of alcohol, controlled substances, or drugs. All right, let's find out. What's Mary Lou getting into these days? Retton, 57, is facing one misdemeanor count of DUI, and she posted $1,500 bond. All right, there you go. It's a picture of her. Oh, here's a picture of her at an Astros game. She looks good. She's it's good. It's good that Mary Lou Retton is feeling well enough to get drunk and drive. There she is. She's at an Astros game. She's doing some celebrity-related things. All right, let's see if there's any other pictures of her here. Like, I swear to God, she was like, oh, yeah, there she is. Look at her. See, she's got like sick stuff. What's this from today? Let's see what this is.
I just thought I was a washed-up old athlete, but the love was just, it touched me. It touched me.
To hear you say the words, I thought I was a washed-up old athlete, like hits me in the soul. Because I don't know if you are aware, but you are someone who people mark time with. You are someone who people have.
Please. I don't need Hoda kissing her ass. Yeah, I mean, she's an important figure in American sporting history. Mary Lou Retton, that's an indelible image of her being carried by Bella Caroli. No, that's Carrie Strug. Okay, so maybe Mary Lou Retton is somebody we can forget about. Anyway, good news, Mary Lou Retton is not dead. Instead, she's getting DUIs in West Virginia. Let's see. What else do we have here? Did I do the Kevin Spacey story yesterday? I don't know if I did that story yesterday or not. It doesn't matter. Guys, I think that's it. I think we're done. I think we have... I got a 4:00 meeting, so I got to do that. Then I got to get all caught up on what happened the rest of the day after lunch in the Diddy trial. I'll be recording Diddy or Didn't He tonight on RadioMisfits.com. There is no Shock House this week. Keith is sick, and we're going to give Keith time to get better. So that's it. That's it. Once again, I can't. It's going. It's like I don't know what to do about my voice. All right. That ought to get me across the finish line. Just a one really good. You guys don't need to hear the noise I need to make in order to clear the chamber. That's why I do mic. I mic it. You can see what I look like when I do it. Anybody that's in this complex, they're hearing that. They're like, what the fuck is going on in that room? What was I going to say? Is there anything else? Oh, yeah. You know what I'll talk about real quickly here? There is something fun that you guys can watch. It ain't fun. Why am I calling it fun? It's not fun. It's interesting. It's interesting. I really enjoyed it. Netflix last night, they posted a new true crime series. I love them. They're always 3 episodes long, like 40 minutes an episode. You can usually get through it in one night. It's like a 2.5-hour movie in one night, whatever. Anyway, Netflix got a new one that they put up last night, which hits me right here. Hits me deep. Woo, boy, oh boy. So, as a child growing up, we all have this. There are these moments. We just heard Hoda Kotb say to Mary Lou Retton, "You are the kind of person that people use to mark time." Yeah, that's true. And there are also events that we use to mark time. Like, for instance, in my life growing up, I have a before and after all the fire hydrants were painted red, white, and blue. All right? As I mark time with our bicentennial, the 200th 4th of July in 1976, where everybody's fire hydrant in America was painted red, white, and blue. They were all red, white, and blue, and anywhere you went in America. And 30 years later, you might be in a neighborhood that hasn't painted their fire hydrant, and you'll still see red, white, and blue. Anyway, mark time with that. Growing up in Chicago, I marked time with Gacy. Gacy was the boogeyman. So as a little kid to me, these stories about Gacy just a couple of towns over, they were scary as fuck because they were real. Another thing that I use as a kid to sort of mark time, the Bears 85 Super Bowl. That's obviously a big one. 9/11. 9/11 as I got older. That's another big one. But there was another big one that occurred for me as a kid when I was growing up, and it is the subject of this new Netflix docuseries, and it's the Tylenol murders. Do you guys remember the Tylenol murders? I don't even know. Like, when I saw this thing come up on Netflix, I was like, wait, wasn't that just a local Chicago story? I thought that was just like a story from my neighborhood. I didn't realize that it was like a big national story. But I mean, obviously you take a step back from it and you're like, well, obviously it was a national story. But it was 1982. And if you were living in the Chicago area, you remember police cars going up and down the blocks. I remember Orland Park police cars going slowly up and down every block with their lights going, and they were speaking over the PA system, telling everybody to throw out their Tylenol. Throw out your Tylenol. There's a national recall on Tylenol. Tylenol purchased in this area, throw it out. Because people were taking Tylenol and dying because somehow, some way, somebody put cyanide caplets inside Tylenol. The stories that they go into on this Netflix thing, I had no idea. Do you know how they found out it was Tylenol? I won't give you any spoilers, although it is history and it's a news event that happened. So if you live through it, there is no spoilers. But I didn't realize how quickly they determined that it was tainted Tylenol that was killing these people. And it makes sense. And unfortunately, there is one family that had to pay the price for them to be able to narrow it down to the Tylenol. So here's how that started. So a dude, 27-year-old guy, super healthy, had a headache, and he took 2 Tylenol, and he was dead within like 20 minutes. He just dropped dead. Paramedics showed up to the house. They're like, we don't know what killed him. They take him away. Okay. That family, they lost their brother, they lost their son, they lost their husband, whatever. That family was shell-shocked. So that evening, the entire family gathered at that home, at the home where he had taken the tainted Tylenol. Everybody's crying. Aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, moms. Everybody's crying. What happened here? How did he die? Nobody knows. They're calling it a heart attack at this point. He just dropped dead of a heart attack. The whole family is gathering hours after he dropped dead in his living room. The whole family is gathered. His brother and his sister-in-law have a headache. Yeah, you can guess what happened next. While mourning the brother, they went into the kitchen, they pulled out the Tylenol, and the brother and his wife took 2 tablets each. They both dropped dead right there in the kitchen while everybody is mourning the other one who died. So now cut to the Arlington Heights Fire Department, which is the suburb where this took place. The fireman that was on duty who got this call at 8:45 that night, he thought it was some kind of a mistake in the system because it was the exact same call that he had taken at 12:30 that afternoon when he had went to the house and found the first guy who took the Tylenol who died. So they show up on the scene. It's the exact same thing. People down, unknown causes in this house. So they show up and they see 2 people laying in the same kitchen where they were there earlier that day with the guy, and they see the Tylenol and they say, huh. And that's how they found out it was Tylenol, because one family had 1 bottle of tainted Tylenol in their house, and they were all taking it because they were all mourning the loss of the first. Just an incredible story. Anyway, it's really good. It's really interesting. I've got the 3rd and final episode to watch tonight, but the first two were really fascinating. And like I say, as a kid, again, maybe this is just more interesting to me because it's one of those things that from when I'm a kid, I'm like, yeah, that was scary. I remember that moment. We didn't know. I mean, I take Tylenol now, but that's how I became an Excedrin guy. Like I took Excedrin for most of my life, and it was because of the Tylenol scare. Anyway, all right, Netflix. It's called The Tylenol Murders. It's a 3-part docu-series. It's pretty good. If you're looking for something to watch, there you go. Enjoy that. Oh, also, I highly recommend the Pee Wee Herman special, the Pee Wee Herman documentary. Pee Wee in his own words. That's on HBO Max. And that's it. Other than that, we're good. Al says that's why we have so many security features in bottles now. Yeah. I mean, I think that was, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but that's why everything is so hard to open now. It's because of the Tylenol poisonings. Oh, and by the way, again, I don't want to give anything away, and this isn't giving anything away. That case is not solved. Like 8 people died, 8 people were murdered, and nobody was ever caught for it. There are theories, and they explore them all in the Tylenol murders, a new special on Netflix. All right, guys, that's going to do it. One more time, I do want to thank our executive producers for today's show. They did a wonderful job of helping me through last week, and I wanted to thank them. It's Tracy and it's Ken. Thank you for helping out in a non-pledge week way. If you want to help out the show and drop a little something, keep this show going for the next month, you can do that now. Get ahead of Pledge Week. Pledge Week starts next Monday. Jump on in. You can do a Venmo. You can do Cash App, whatever you need to do. We appreciate you. All right. I got to go. I love you guys. Oh, also, this needs to be said. Congratulations to Bill Folk, who won trivia again last night. Bill Folk, former champion of trivia. Did he win last night? I think he did win last night. And Bill, you are owed. You are owed those gift cards. So I will not forget you. I left before I could get him his winning gift cards. But there you go. We owe you gift cards, Bill. See you next Tuesday. Defend your crown. Thank you to April. She came out. We had a good time last night at the Back Nine. We do trivia every Monday or every Tuesday at 7:30. 7:30, Back Nine. No, you're awesome, Al. All right, I love you guys. Bye. Have a good one.